There we go. Good evening. This commences the Tuesday, May 13th regular meeting of, excuse me, of the Town of Yountville's Zoning and Design Review Board. This calls it to order. Can you please take a roll call?
Members Cook.
Here.
Henthorn.
Here.
Toposky.
Here.
Chair Miller.
Here.
And noting Vice Chair Zagorczyk is absent.
Excellent. Would you all join me in standing for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Do we have a motion to adopt the agenda?
So moved.
And second?
Second it.
Excellent. Approval of the minutes?
We vote on the adoption of the agenda?
Oh, I thought we did. Sorry.
We'll just take a voice vote.
Oh, yeah, we'll take a voice vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So moved, or so approved, I guess. Approval of minutes?
I looked through them and they all look good to me. I will make a motion to approve the minutes.
Okay.
Can we ask comment?
Yeah, public comments. I'm assuming that you guys aren't here to publicly comment on the minutes. Okay, good. Thank you. Excellent. Can I get you? Did someone?
I'll second it.
Great. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Public comments on matters not listed on the agenda. Are there any comments here? Planning Director Heacock, I have a note here to call on you for an introduction.
Thank you, Chair Miller. So I'd like to take this opportunity to introduce Erin Ebach. She started with the Planning and Building Department on March 10th, and she will be a management analyst in the Planning and Building Department. Erin brings a wealth of experience in land use and community planning. She's managed comprehensive and area plans, conducted policy analysis, and worked closely with transportation planners, engineers, and architects. Her background includes leading community engagement efforts, grant writing, and facilitating public outreach strategies. She will be using the working title of Principal Planner to help the public understand her role in the department. And we are very excited to have her expertise on board. And we know the names are a little confusing, but it's gone smooth so far. So. Would like to welcome her and introduce her to you all.
Great. We join you in welcoming Erin. Thank you for being here. All right. We do not have any presentations. The first item on the agenda is item A, is adopt resolution 25024, recommending the Town Council conditionally approve a design review and use permit application for the extension of an existing non-conforming single-family home located at 6709 Yount Street and finding the project exempt from the California Environmental Quality Act. I must recuse myself because of my proximity of the home I own to the project under review. So I will call on Member Cook to preside over item 8A, and I will see you in a moment.
See you later. Thank you. So Stephen announced the project, and we can go ahead and open the public hearing and ask the Planning Director for a staff report.
Yes, thank you, Member Cook. I am going to introduce Carrie Swanstrom from Swanstream Design Studios. I think I got that right.
Studios.
Close enough. She'll be doing the staff report for this item.
Hi, Carrie. Go ahead.
Hello, good evening. And I want to, make sure that you can see my screen. We'll get that up in a second. We did test the other technology. So the application, and I believe, first off, I believe the owners are here tonight, Stephen and Astrid, and won't have a PowerPoint presentation, but may have something to say after the staff report. The project before you tonight is at 6709 Yonts Street, and it is a single-family residence, which is, let me get this up, located in the Old Town Historic Zoning District. It is the project they're proposing is to demolish a portion of the rear of the home and do an addition at that same location. The current home is about 888 square feet. The new proposal would be 999 of a maximum 1,000 square feet. Due to the lot size, it's just under 3,500 square feet. The applications required for this include design review for the additions, use permits to expand and modify a non-conforming structure, and I'll talk about that in a moment, and SEQA review, which would be an exemption under several sections that exempt minor structures and minor alterations. The property is non-conforming for a couple of reasons. You can see on the diagram in the orange, there is a portion of the existing structure, which was built in the 1920s, that is in the side yard, and then also a portion of the house and the entire front porch are in the front yard setback. It's about a 2 foot or so setback from the property line, but as you can see, the street itself, there is a brick course and landscaping and fence that are existing at the property before the street starts. So the Town of Yountville's municipal code does require for a non-conforming structure to get a use permit for a couple of reasons. One is to expand the home. So the additions, even though they are conforming, the new additions must meet the zoning ordinance. And then it also requires a use permit to modify any of the non-conforming elements. And in that case, they cannot be intensified or expand the non-conformity in any way. They are proposing to rebuild the front porch, both the portion with the roof on it, as well as the trellis section. And you can see in this image what that is. That is, again, non-conforming, but due to structural issues, they're requesting to be able to rebuild that within the existing footprint and within the existing envelope. And so that is a portion of the use permit. And the other portion is to expand the home. You can see in the diagram the shaded areas that are the addition. They are on would expand the footprint on the south, which is the south side yard, the west, which is the back rear yard, and the north, which is the quite a distance actually from the side yard required, which is 5 feet on both sides for this property. The addition itself would match the existing structure in materials and colors. So the siding, they are proposing a new roof, which would be the same charcoal asphalt shingle that is existing. And as you can see from the site plan, kind of around the point of the porch, the existing side porch would be demolished. So that's the kitchen, laundry room, and sunroom. And a portion of the wall to the dining room, and then that would encompass the expansion of the kitchen, remodel of the existing rooms. The living room at the front would add a couple of bay windows on the south side. That is an allowed encroachment into the front yard. And then there is one portion in purple that they had originally submitted to expand the porch. That is not allowed by the non-conforming use permit. I've spoken with the applicants and they're fine just rebuilding it within the existing footprint. And in fact, they after this was produced, they provided drawings that show that already. But we do have a condition of approval 1A that would just clarify that the porch cannot expand in either footprint or building envelope. The rest of the addition wouldn't be seen from the street, other than the small side porch, side entry that you can see on the south side, and where these two double hung windows, these would become bay windows. Those would be visible from the street. Otherwise, the rest of it would be in the rear yard, and of course, it is one story, and so it's not going to be overlooking either of the neighbor properties. So in terms of the staff's recommendation for this, we are recommending that you forward this on to town council for approval. And the reasoning for that, the existing porch, although it's non-conforming, it is a key element of the character of the whole district, and in fact the whole town, to have that front porch is part of the design guidelines. As I noted, the home was built in the 1920s, so the reason it's non-conforming is simply because the town of Yountville wasn't even incorporated at that time, so there was no zoning ordinance. And so we feel rebuilding that would meet the design guidelines as well as the intent of the code. And then the use permit would allow for the additions that are conforming. So with that, our recommendation is to hold a public hearing, adopt resolution 25-24, and that would recommend the town council approve the design review and use permit applications and find the project exempt under CEQA sections 15301, 303, 304, and 15061B3, with the one condition, in addition to all the standard conditions that the town has, that the front porch be rebuilt within the same footprint and envelope. And that concludes my presentation.
Okay, thank you, Carrie. Do either of you have any questions of Carrie? Thomas?
No. My only question was about the front porch, but that was already answered. So.
Okay, Kenneth?
Same question, about the porch, but as well, I think.
Yeah, she's already covered that. Okay. Would you, the applicant, like to come up and make any comments, or? Yeah, come on up to the microphone and just give us your name and.
Try this again.
There you go.
All right. Hi, members of the board, town staff. My name's Stephen Kay. This is Astrid Kobus, my wife. We actually don't have much to add or clarify, but I think we can add some context. The project narrative, which we submitted along with our application, is just one sentence, and which read like this. The goal of our project is to restore and remodel an existing home in the same style and character as the original dwelling. So that's pretty much it. The only thing we're talking about here. That's really it. The house is going to turn 100 years old next year, and it needs a bunch of work. So if it didn't need the work, we wouldn't be here. But as long as we're doing that. The small addition in the rear is being done to increase the functionality, and it basically follows the lead of the current structure in terms of the flow, and we really like the light in that structure, and honestly our biggest fear is messing it up. So we didn't want to touch it, but we have to. So there's something about this special little house on Yon Street. It's kind of hunkered into its small space, and it's slightly askew on the property, as you can see, and kind of like the slopey floors inside of it. So our hope as we embark on this remodel is to retain the existing charm while also retain the existing charm and just get it ready for the next 100 years as it sits in Old Town. So anyway, that's it.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Thank
Do
you.
either of you have any questions for the applicant?
No questions for me. I just want to say thank you for honoring the history and architecture of the home and keeping it going for the next 100 years.
Kenneth?
Yeah, I would say the same thing. I think it's obvious in some of these drawings, there's probably some architectural detailing that needs to be buttoned up just on how it's going to actually work architecturally as far as building it goes. but I think the concept's there, and that's what we're here for, right? So, all good.
And I understand that the porch has to be replaced because of deterioration and 100 years old. I didn't catch that. That's wonderful. And the rest of the house is sturdy enough, stable enough?
We'll find out.
Okay, excellent.
I think the only requirement I would add is that you have to have a porch party once the once it's complete. So.
Okay, I will ask for any public comment, but there's nobody else here, so I will close public comment. And we can move on to just our discussion between the board members, I think. I think it's, obviously, you appreciate the character of Yountville, and not everybody who brings a project in here does. So I very much appreciate the thoughtfulness with which you guys are restoring this house and retaining the value of Old Town. So I completely support everything you're doing here.
Agreed.
Mm-hmm. The same here. Absolutely.
Okay, pretty simple. Somebody want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Okay.
I make a motion to accept the project as we've, help me here.
I was going to say move staff's recommendation.
Yeah, adopt the resolution as presented.
I make a motion we adopt the resolution as presented.
I will second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Congratulations. Thank you very much. We look forward to it.
Yeah.
They're easy when they're nice like that.
Yeah.
We appreciate that.
Accept the resolution.
Yeah, you have to, there's a resolution number and stuff, yeah. Do you know the history? Do you know the history of the house?
No, we don't.
Okay.
Just the fact that it was built in 1926. The history is really hard to pin down, although as soon as we moved in, we immediately met a bunch of people who said, I used to live there. So yeah, from that perspective, pretty interesting.
That's fun.
We didn't even change the locks, kind of wondering how secure it is. But,
It's all good.
and we can tell it was built in stages.
Yeah.
That's funny, even at that small size. Cool. Okay. Back to you, boss.
All right. Congratulations, you guys. All right. So item B on our agenda is to adopt ZDRB resolution number 25025, recommending the town council adopt ordinance number 25532, amending chapter 17156 of Title 17, the Yountville Municipal Code, regarding accessory dwelling units, ADUs, and junior accessory dwelling units, JADUs, and find adoption of the ordinance exempt from the California Environmental Quality Act. Staff report. Who's doing that?
I am.
You are. Okay.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you, Chair Miller.
Thank
Just
you.
a brief presentation on this code update. So the California legislature views ADUs as playing an important role in solving California's housing crisis. Over the past several years, as I think we all know, the legislature has enacted numerous laws intended to increase the number of ADUs by removing barriers to their construction. Examples of such laws include requiring ministerial approval of ADU applications within 60 days, authorizing ADUs on lots with multifamily dwellings, and prohibiting local agencies from imposing heightened setback standards beyond state set limits. In response, the town is now amending its zoning ordinance to bring its ADU regulations into conformance with state law. So since the town's ADU ordinance was last amended, some of those laws that we just mentioned include prohibiting owner occupancy requirements for ADUs and removing the previous sunset clause on those prohibitions, requiring local programs for pre-approval of detached ADU plans, defining various terms like livable space, specifying that uncovered off-street parking demolished for the construction of an ADU does not need to be replaced, This one hopefully won't come up too often, authorizing up to 8 detached ADUs on a lot with existing multifamily dwelling, provided that the number of ADUs does not exceed the number of existing units on the lot. Authorizing conveyance of ADUs separate from the primary dwelling if certain circumstances are met. That's an interesting one.
Yeah.
So this ordinance amendment is essentially required by state law to bring our ADU up to current law. And it revises standards related to privacy, landscaping, architecture, and appearance to be objective, specifies that total floor area of an attached ADU may not exceed 50% of an existing primary dwelling, clarifies that connection fee and capacity charges for water and sewer service for ADUs may be charged based upon square footage or number of drainage fixture units, values up to the reasonable cost of providing the service, revises owner occupancy requirements to only apply to JADUs, as state law now prohibits requiring owner occupancy for just ADUs. Adds specific deed restriction language for those JADUs, specifies a process for pre-approved plans, what does that say? Pre-approved ADU plans in the shorter 30-day review period applicable to ADU applications that utilize one of those qualifying pre-approved plans, makes other clerical revisions for internal consistency and consistency with the statutory language, including updating citations to code sections due to the recent renumbering of the ADU law. So our recommendation is to adopt the included resolution recommending that Town Council adopt the ordinance amending Chapter 17156 of Title 17 of the Yountville Municipal Code regarding ADUs and JADUs, and find adoption of the ordinance exempt from the California Environmental Quality Act. And we are happy to answer any questions you may have at this time.
I have a question. So if there's projects already in process that are already permitted but not finalized because the construction is not complete, and a project's following current junior ADU or ADU law, if you will, when you go to close out the permit and do your final inspection, or can you take advantage of some of the new, you don't have to do that anymore kind of thing, because now we're doing this, if you will? You know what I'm saying? If a project's already under what was ADU.
I think a lot of it probably won't apply because if the construction's nearing completion, but I would defer to Mackenzie on things like owner occupancy. I think that stuff like that probably we would apply now.
My understanding is typically they only are entitled to build whatever the entitlement approved. So they don't really get the benefit of forward-looking changes in the law. But for an area of law like ADU law, it may be safer to err on the side of assuming, in a pro-housing legislation sort of stance. That's actually something I don't have an answer for off the top of my head.
To her point, though, I would say if we got in a bind and someone reported us to HCD for not following some of these pro-housing laws, we could potentially get ourselves in trouble with the state. Yeah. So erring on more the pro-housing side is probably a safer option.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So are these new things already in effect?
Yeah.
Okay. So we have no say on any of it anyway?
No.
Quite a few of them I would like clarified, but I'm sure I can do that online.
Yeah.
By looking up, you listed the government code. Where would I find that? Under the analysis, each one lists the government code.
You should be able to simply Google government code section 66314 and it'll pull up. I use software that I think is behind a paywall to view it, but it should just be a simple Google search.
Okay.
I will say when you do go down that rabbit hole, and it is a rabbit hole, they link to other government code sections, so it's like you're looking for an answer, you keep going and keep going.
I just wondered, like, livable space, how did they change that? Okay, we don't know.
She may know.
I can pull it up. A lot of it is because we are so restricted in using only objective terms. It's very difficult to draft that from scratch. So when the legislature hands you a definition, you just take it and put it in your code because at least that's what the legislature wrote. You can defer to that to an extent. But let me pull up the The definitions are now in section 66313 of the government code. And I think the idea was just there wasn't a definition for what constitutes livable space before, and now they've clarified that it's a space in a dwelling intended for human habitation, including living, sleeping, eating, cooking, or sanitation. Whether or not that is really objective is...
Yeah, because is a porch livable space?
Not unless it's enclosed, right? It has to be enclosed to be
That would be
livable.
our definition.
Is it conditioned space?
Well, then there's a definition for living area as well. But
You can get into
Here's
the
the
weeds.
rabbit hole.
Yeah, you can get into the
Here's
weeds.
the rabbit hole.
But I think the gut instinct of conditioned, enclosed is correct.
Okay. And then the one about conveyance, authorizing conveyance as a separate primary dwelling. I thought that was up to the cities, the municipalities. It used to be. Now it's not?
That's my understanding, is that the law changed, so now essentially they see it as another pro-housing initiative where instead of renting, someone can get into a new, smaller home and become a homeowner. That's my understanding, unless the town attorney has another.
Is that what that means? That it's it could be sold separately?
That's correct.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yes, but it needs to be developed by a qualified nonprofit that specializes in housing. So there is a
Okay.
little more, there's guardrails. It's not necessarily just a private person will move in and own a separate ADU.
And that's just an ADU. A junior obviously counts as part of the home itself, so you can't separate that deed.
Yeah, and that's part of the deed restriction that's required for the JEDUs.
It also referred to an attached ADU. I thought attached ADUs were junior ADUs.
No.
They can be, there's a nuance there. So JEDUs are essentially capped at 500 square feet, among other things.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, it could be
Attached
bigger.
ADU could be, okay.
And JDUs have to have a method of circulation between the main house and the JDU, I think.
Originally, they were not allowed to have
I don't
a
think that's
connection.
required.
And then they changed it to allow
Now it can be
a
open
connection.
to
So now it's a master bedroom suite.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
With the kitchenette.
I will go down
Just a sink and a refrigerator.
that rabbit hole.
No longer, you have to be able to preparation, but you don't have to actually have like your cooking utensil in it anymore. You don't have to have like a stove, a hot plate, and that kind of stuff. Just a refrigeration, some kind of unit under bar. It allows a glorified.
Your mic's not on.
Sorry about that. Yeah. So
Okay. I will.
I'll get that enough. Should I repeat it?
I will do a little Googling to answer my own questions. Thank you.
Thanks for the information. I mean, it helps me for sure.
Good.
There aren't any members of the public, so I don't think we need to open public comment.
Let's just, for the sake of the record, say I'm opening it and then closing
I'm
it.
opening, for all of you out there, the public comment section, and I see that there are no hands raised. So, are there any other questions for staff? It seems pretty straightforward. We're amending our own code to reflect what the current laws are.
That's correct. I will say when I first started here and I first went through the ADU code section, I looked at it and I was like, this is really out of date. And I reached out to the town attorney. I'm like, when's the last time we updated this? And they're like, we really need to.
So it's a house cleaning effort for
Absolutely.
consistency is
Yes.
essentially what we're trying to approve here.
That's correct.
Okay, great. I will close this public hearing and ask the board for a motion if no one has any other comments.
I will make a motion to adopt the resolution 25-025, recommending that the town council adopt this ordinance
I
as
second.
presented.
I second that.
You second? All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Administrative items, there are none, I see. Or do you have anything? No? Staff and board reports?
I have one report I'll make. I'm just letting everybody out there know that we will be having a special meeting on Tuesday, May 27th, 2025 at 4 p.m. For the Humboldt project on 2012 Humboldt Street. Just making
Excellent.
everyone aware.
And with that, Do we have a motion to adjourn?
I make a motion to adjourn.
Excellent. Second.
I second that.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right. That adjourns our meeting. We're adjourning to that meeting that is on the 27th of May. That's a Tuesday at 4 p.m. See you then.